What are cryptocurrencies?
What are NFTs?
Time to buy Bitcoin. Buy and hold. Time to sell to whales.
Decentralized finance, smart contract, white paper.
Well, then buy it. Well, then sell it. I don't know.
Every day, there's something new happening in crypto. New coins, new layers, new possibilities. Ups and downs, the space keeps getting wider and more complicated. And let's be honest, for many, that is just too much. So if you're curious and you find it all a little overwhelming, then you've come to the right place. From Ledger, my name is Mounir, and I'm happy to be welcoming you on the first episode of our new podcast, On the Ledger, live from Paris. By hosting prominent members of the community, diving into their projects and vision, On the Ledger will give you clear explanations, inspiring conversations and exclusive insights to help you navigate the world of cryptocurrencies, Web3, and all that it brings to the table. Now you can finally relax, keep up the pace, and stay up to date. Today, I'm very happy to be hosting Mounir Benchemled. Mounir is spearheading the DeFi revolution. He is the founder of ParaSwap, the unique decentralized exchange aggregator that offers a simple, fast, and safe way to exchange Ethereum tokens. We'll be joined by Fabrice Dautrial. Fabrice is the head of Ledger's coin integration, a brilliant engineer who leads the work on integrating a great number of projects in the Ledger ecosystem. Together, we'll be discussing a variety of subjects ranging from DeFi's user experience, potential of mass adoption, and challenges. We'll also be discussing Ledger's platformization strategy and how it falls into place with the integration of ParaSwap. I hope you enjoy this conversation. Without any further delay, let's jump right into it. Mounir, Fabrice, welcome to On the Ledger. It's a pleasure to be having you here today on our first episode.
Thank you.
Hey, Mohsin. Thank you for having us.
Allow me to kick off the conversation by trying to provide an easy gateway to the topic for our listeners. We'll start with a couple of questions, the type of questions that people are sometimes afraid to ask. We call them the not so stupid question, because as you know, in crypto, there is no such thing as a stupid question. So Mounir, could you please give us a quick overview of what a DEX is and how ParaSwap as a decentralized exchange aggregator differs from other DEXs?
So DEX stands for decentralized exchange, which is at the end an exchange that is non-custodial, which means the users still control their funds, and the exchange is simply a software that will facilitate the exchange of value. And here we're talking about cryptocurrencies. So you will use it as any other exchange, except that the funds will go from your wallet, will make the exchange, and then the counterparty will arrive back to your wallets. And the good thing about decentralized exchanges is they are using smart contracts that are typically open source. So you would have more security using decentralized exchanges than using centralized exchanges.
And could you elaborate more on the aggregator part? So we know that we have decentralized exchanges, but ParaSwap is a decentralized exchange aggregator. What does it add in terms of value for the end user? And how does it work?
So it's like an Expedia or Booking.com. There are many markets. Right now, there are dozens of markets, and in the future, you may expect to have hundreds, if not thousands of markets. Prices are different in each market. It's exactly how travel I would say, websites work. So ParaSwap will try to get you the best deal. Like it will search all of those pools and try to find what is the best deal, and also try to find the combination of those. So, for instance, you are selling, say, 10 ETH to USDC. Maybe it will take 30% from one exchange and 70% of the other exchange. Maybe it will do more complex routes in order to maximize the price. So you will get, at worst case scenario, the best market price. But what you're looking for is getting the price that is better than the market when using an aggregator like ParaSwap.
Okay, that's pretty clear. Fabrice, as head of Ledger's coin integration, you've been integrating projects for years now. And I'd like you to maybe explain to our listeners what are the different types of projects that you integrate within the ecosystem, and maybe tell us how it has been evolving in the past few years.
Yeah, it's an excellent question. Many Ledger users are familiar with the hardware wallet. Many are cryptocurrency fans. So they use mostly the hardware wallet to manage their funds. So I would say the level one of integration is really having the blockchain support on the hardware wallet itself. So using a nano application. So that's the level one. Level two, in my opinion, would be a Ledger Live blockchain support. So meaning you can use your hardware wallet in combination with Ledger Live, but then you can also manage your accounts, create transaction, send and receive tokens. And so this would be the level 2. And now with ParaSwap, we're starting the level 3, I would say, which is adding services or new features on top of these blockchain supports. So yeah, with ParaSwap, you can do a lot of things. You can exchange tokens in a decentralized manner, and you can do it, like Mounir was saying, directly from your wallet. So you are benefiting from the non-custodial service from Ledger, while still interacting easily with the ParaSwap service. So that would be the level 3 of integration, in my opinion. And so we moved from having just nano applications and a bunch of services, and now we're trying to really expand all the services that will be made available to the end user through Ledger Live directly.
So since we have both of you here, it might be the perfect time to announce that ParaSwap is now available in Ledger Live. Congratulations to both of you. The objective, of course, is to provide a more fluid, seamless, and secure experience and unlock more DeFi possibilities for Ledger users. Mounir, today DeFi is a pretty complex and fragmented ecosystem. As a matter of fact, it might be quite intimidating for any new user that gets into the DeFi world. What's your vision for ParaSwap's adoption and DeFi's adoption in general?
Yeah, I think it's something that's going to take a lot of time, like maybe a few years, to get into a broad adoption on the standards of like fintech, for instance, like eToro or Venmo and so on, to have this broad adoption and millions of users using DeFi every day. I think we're getting there. So compared to last year, we were talking about a few thousands of users. Now we're talking about already millions of users using DeFi across multiple blockchains like Ethereum and all those side chains. Right now, it's mostly driven by incentives. So people are going to use DeFi product because they are getting very big returns. But I think people will come for that, but they will stay for the value added of DeFi, which is access to finance, which is transparency and security and so on. So I think we are getting there. We are accelerating an exponential growth that we're seeing right now, but we may still expect that this will happen within a few years. One other thing is integrations like Ledger that makes it very easy and within the same, I would say, wallet to access DeFi. That will contribute a lot on the adoption in DeFi, but also scaling solutions that are happening right now, that are launching, that will remove a lot of friction and a lot of UX challenges. Like, why would someone has to know about gas to use a fintech application? They just need to push a button and get things done, and have the app or the infrastructure worry about those technical concerns. So I think we're getting there very fast, but to have this broad adoption, maybe it will happen within the next few years.
You were talking about the partnership with Ledger. How do you think such partnerships could actually enhance the overall experience with regards to the frictions you were talking about?
Well, first of all, users won't need to leave their mobile wallet, their Ledger Live. Right now, what we're asking users is to scan QR codes or install browser extensions, save seed phrases, and so on. Right now, all of this has been done once on the most secure wallets we know today in crypto. So I think this will remove a lot of frictions that users have, and especially they are using mobile. And that's something we've seen, especially since Q4 of last year, that more and more users are coming from mobile. And that's normal. That's what fintech has seen before. And I think that will be a great advancement in the usage of DeFi and the adoption of DeFi.
And Fabrice, maybe Mounir also spoke about the benefits for the Ledger user. But when you're integrating services like this, what's your vision about the overall DeFi experience within the Ledger ecosystem? And how are you working on that related to, of course, the user experience and the seamlessness of it, but also the security side?
Yep. Yeah, DeFi is not very mainstream yet, I would say. So Mounir said it perfectly. I think one of the greatest added value is really to have the user automatically logged in, for instance. You don't have to connect your wallet and do a lot of other things before you can actually get started. Basically, you will have the ParaSwap button. You just click on it and you get automatically logged in. Every Ethereum accounts that you have on Ledger Live, you will have access to them directly just by selecting it from a scrolling list. So yeah, we are removing frictions here, and I think it's a nice first step. But yeah, Ledger is known for being a security company, and so when we discussed with Mounir, we we started by saying, okay, there is a huge problem in DeFi right now. People are actually signing operations. So just maybe to explain a bit more, signing operations is you are actually approving something on the blockchain. And the way people are doing it right now, it's like they really trust what they're signing. They just press the button on the nano and they don't really understand what they're approving. And because you cannot, once it's done on the blockchain, you cannot modify it anymore, it's fairly dangerous. So one of the requirements we had and that we discussed with Mounir since the beginning is we need to find a way to make it really secure in the sense that people need to understand that now they will verify what they're doing. So yes, there is all the, the friction removal and the auto login and things like that. But I would say more importantly, now when you trade Ethereum for USDC, you will be able to check on your nano screen what you're actually doing. You will see the swap operation detailed on your nano device. And to me, that's really the added value. And just to be clear, we want it to be available everywhere, not only in Ledger Live. So we actually updated our libraries so that any third parties can do it. So it's not only about Ledger Live integration and ease of use, it's really trying to secure the entire DeFi ecosystem. So we are starting with ParaSwap, and I think it's really a great first step. Hopefully many people from the DeFi industry will join this movement and will try to build these mini applications to secure DeFi even more.
But I think one of the interesting points as well is that this sense of having everything in one place, because when you're starting maybe in the DeFi world, or maybe like I've been through the DeFi experience, and what's your view on having this everything in one place? How does it actually solve things that are related to security, whether it be of course verification, but also the fact that you might not need to move from one platform to another?
So it's fairly difficult for me to answer this because right now many DeFi protocols are running either on Ethereum or on EVM compatible chains, so on chains that are really, really close to Ethereum. But of course, people also own Bitcoins or other type of cryptocurrency. So on Ledger Live, you will have access to all your cryptocurrencies in a single place. I think this has some added value. In the future, hopefully, you will have some type of bridges and applications that allow you to maybe use your Bitcoin to use them on Ethereum through Wrap Bitcoin or something else. So right now, we only have ParaSwap, but in the long run, I think we could have a bunch of tools and other applications that would maybe allow you to do more with your crypto.
So moving on to our users' question. To give you a quick background, last week we asked their community on social media if they had any questions with regards to the decentralized exchange, but also the DeFi ecosystem in a more general sense. So one question came up and I thought it was pretty interesting, and feel free to go first. What are DEXs missing to be able to compete with banks?
Mounir, do you want to go first, or?
Yeah, go.
I think there is we still have the on-ramp situation where, for instance, as soon as you have Ethereum or DAI or USDC, you're fine. You can do whatever you want in the DeFi world, specifically on Ethereum in this case. But if you don't own that, if you don't have this type of cryptos, you still have this barrier to entry where you need to somehow use a centralized service to convert your fiat currency into cryptocurrency. I'm not aware of services that would allow you to do it in a decentralized manner. So I think this is still something that needs to be worked on, but maybe I'm not completely up to date on this topic, so maybe Mounir knows more. I think that would be maybe one thing banks are still needed for the time being, at least. Apart from that, you can see that in the DeFi ecosystem, you already have a lot of services that are directly competing with banking services, like lending protocols, or where you can lend and borrow money. But yeah, the fiat to crypto service is still somehow a blocker, in my opinion.
Or maybe banks should become decentralized and change the business model to become DeFi protocol. I think that's a ramp, on-ramp and off-ramps. It's a big issue. But there is a project called Ramp Network that tries to create something like similar to Uniswap. So they have liquidity pools in both fiat and crypto that allows the swaps to happen. So at the end, they are still working within the banking standards, like everything is compliant and KYC, AML, which is normal because we're talking about fiat. But they are trying to bring the principles of DeFi into fiat on-ramp and off-ramp. It's very interesting.
Allow me to pause you here. Could you please explain to our listeners what on-ramp, off-ramp means? Because I think that would be pretty helpful in order to understand the overall explanation.
Yeah, well, on-ramp, it's when you buy crypto with fiat, like when you come from fiat to crypto, and off-ramp when you exit, when you have crypto and you're exiting to fiat.
So basically what you're saying is that there are liquidity pools that allow you to actually make this in a decentralized fashion.
So if you look, for instance, how Uniswap works, you have two tokens, like Ether and DAI, for instance, and they hold the balance and they have to keep 50% each. So Ramp, for instance, Ramp Network, they have something similar. So you will have dollars, US dollars and Ether, and you will need to keep this balance between both. They have some specificities, of course. I mean, it's not exactly as Uniswap, but that's the point, that they do to bring those two liquidity pools and have them interact with the specificities of fiat and Ramp Network and so on.
So it's time to move ahead and kick off the ledger forecast. To know how the weather is going to be like, one watches the weather forecast. If you want to know how cryptocurrencies, DeFi, and Web3 are going to evolve in the future, we've got you covered. This is the ledger forecast. Fabahis, we've discussed the integration of ParaSwap, but can you tell us more about what it says about Ledger's future? What's your take on the evolution of the Ledger ecosystem? There seems to be a move from pure hardware security to a more cohesive gateway to crypto services.
Yeah, I think you're right on that. To me, the way to see or explain this change of strategy at Ledger is really to try to be more open. So Ledger Live is open source, but we are trying to really work with partners from the crypto industry more and more. Right now, we have something like 140 applications on the Nano. So on the Nano side of things, I think it's quite good already. But we want to improve this, and we want to improve the developer experience. So when we worked with Mounir, we tried to do things as easily as possible for them to be directly listed in Ledger Live through something we call the dApp browser, basically. And we hope that we'll improve this over time to make it even easier for other people to actually join. So yes, more services, but always keeping in mind that, yeah, we are trying to make it easy for developers to interact with us more and more. We're selling hardware, that's for sure. We are selling security, that's for sure as well. But in the end, it's the crypto services and all the people doing things and developing projects in this space that are actually building the crypto for the future. So it's important for us to try to give them a hand and help them build something within Ledger Live directly.
Could you explain what a dApp browser is?
dApp stands for decentralized application. So if I want to summarize it, basically, ParaSwap is a website. There is a front end. Basically, you have a page where you go and you swap crypto directly. What we want to do is be able to rely on what Mounir's team has built already and just make that available through Ledger directly. So we are not reinventing the wheel here. All the actual development was done by Mounir's team. What we're just doing here is trying to add an additional layer of security because now you can actually see what you do on your device and make everything easy to use through the Ledger Live interface. So the dApp browser works for ParaSwap. Hopefully, it will work for many other decentralized applications out there. Eventually, it could also work with not decentralized application, but standard application. So we are looking into ways of, to make things easier for external developers to participate in that.
Mounir, for our listeners who don't know much about ParaSwap, could you give us kind of a quick overview of how ParaSwap evolved, and then tell us about the future of ParaSwap? What are the next big challenges that you're looking forward to?
Yeah, so it's been created since 2019. More specifically, in September 2019, it was launched. It went from a one-man army to now a team of a lot of developers. We see the future as decentralized in terms of value exchange. So you can imagine the next few years, people will be able to trade Tesla shares with tokens deposited on Aave or Compound in a single transaction. That obviously supposes that Tesla is tokenized and it's traded on a public blockchain, and we want to be this connective tissue, or what you can assume as a middleware that facilitate those complex transactions and make them happen instantly. So that's the idea. In travel industries, as we were discussing in the beginning, you have the aggregators like Expedia, Booking, and so on. You have the companies, airline companies, and between those there are layers or software layers that we have right now. One of them is Amadeus. It's also based here in Paris. So what we're building is an Amadeus, not an aggregator, and we're trying to empower other aggregators, like here with this integration of our UI with other apps using our API. So this is what we're building, and we think in the future, where the value exchange will happen on decentralized exchanges, a tool like ParaSwap or an infrastructure like ParaSwap will be needed.
So that question is for both of you, and maybe it's to have a less of a self-centered perspective. What would you say excites you the most about the future of crypto? What are you desperately waiting for, the innovation that kind of excites you the most?
Maybe I can try to go first on this one. So I've been closely following the NFT trend recently. I find it very interesting. So there is a lot going on there. It's probably a bit early still. So I suppose in the next few months or even years, we'll see actual, project being developed and standard emerging in the space. Another thing, absolutely not correlated with the NFT, is I'm still waiting for the Lightning Network to become something really, really used. I don't know if it will happen, but it's kind of my personal hobby and really the project that I'd like to see evolve a bit more. So personally, that's what I'm waiting for in the next few months.
Right, I definitely agree with Lightning in all scaling solutions. This is what will make crypto mainstream. Crypto will look like using traditional finance and also traditional currency. Like when you make a payment, you won't need to pay high fees and also wait for too long. It will just happen immediately and with very low fees. So I think scaling solutions are the key, and this is what we're all looking for.
So basically, it's the move from stores of value to mediums of exchanges.
Well, maybe not only, because I know ParaSwap is already working on Polygon and Binance Smart Chain. I don't know actually if you're already on it, but you have many different ways to make transactions faster. I said Lightning, but maybe it's not the only solution. You have a lot of other layer 2 or scalability solution out there. So I think you're right. To reach mainstream adoption, we need to make it easier. We need to remove the gas fees, the transaction time, and everything like that is super confusing for all the newcomers to the space.
And I think this will serve also for both cases. Like if you're a holder and seeing your asset as a store of values, or if you're a hodler and at some point you will have to either off-ramp or maybe exchange to something else, and the friction will come in at that time. So I would say scaling solutions are necessary anyways, no matter what happens. Also for Bitcoin, I would say maybe for big transactions, you will maybe not worry about scaling solutions because the amounts are important. But for any normal people who are not, I would say, high net worth individuals, this will make a lot of sense and will add a lot of value.
It basically democratizes the access to the blockchain and cryptocurrencies in general. Makes sense. What about your biggest fear, and how do you think we can prevent it?
I would say security. To be honest, this is the biggest fear, because the problem with crypto is this is a unregulated markets, and they cannot be regulated in any way. No matter what happens, they will never be as regulated as any traditional finance. So if someone loses their crypto, they are just lost, and there is no way to recover them. If I would lose my Tesla shares or my Apple shares, maybe I can call someone and have my problem solved, but this is not the case for crypto. So I would say security is the biggest challenge we have right now in crypto, and once this is figured out for anyone, like we say in France, for Madame Michou, this will get us into the next levels and into the mainstream adoption as we were talking about.
Yeah, your keys, your crypto, like we always say. What about you, Fabrice?
I'm not really concerned actually. I think everything will be fine. But I don't like so much to hearing, for instance, Ray Dalio worrying about government banning crypto or trying to really prevent it from growing even more. And when you see we are now something around $1 trillion market cap. We reached $2 trillion. The entire industry reached above $2 trillion. And at that moment, you had this new narrative coming in, like, oh, it's not okay for the environment, or it's dangerous. And we have always the same things over. We are hearing them over and over again. So I'm not worried because it's always been there and it's just coming back. But the more the crypto industry grow, the more these complaints are getting loud, I think, and people are listening to it more and more. Just look at Twitter. This environmental debate is really, everyone is getting involved. So it's interesting to see. I'm not really concerned, but it's exciting to see where it will go and how it will shape the industry in the future.
So I'd like to tie off this interview with a question I'm sure many of our listeners would benefit from. We call it a tip for crypto first grader. You guys have been involved in Cryptoland for many years. So the idea here is to enable our audience to benefit from your experience, as I'm sure you've been through a lot. So here comes the question, and feel free to go first. What's your ultimate tip to somebody who's just starting their crypto journey? The thing you wish you knew at the time, or the biggest mistake to avoid?
I would say the first thing is education. Is before investing on anything, people should learn about what they're doing and understand how the tech work, even at a high level. Nobody is required to be a developer to understand, the underlying blockchain and how it works or a specific protocol. So I would say education is the key, even if it will maybe give the perception that there is missing out, like I'm not investing, I'm learning, so I may miss out on something, but it's much better to lose a significant amount just because we haven't understood what's happening. So I would say education is the key. That's the piece of advice I can give to anyone coming here for the first time.
Yeah, I would say exactly the same thing. I would say don't FOMO in, basically. That was my mistake at the beginning. Like price are going up, everyone is super excited. Okay, you put a bit of money on that, and then you lose about a bit of money. And at this stage, you have two solutions. Either you just forget about it and that's it, you lost money, or you start looking into it even more and you read about this and you try to understand how it works. In retrospect, I would say it's better to go the other way around. Start reading and understanding what you're actually putting money in. And once you've done that, basically, even if you lose money, at least you have learned something. And so you're not completely a loser in this case. But that was my bad how to say, that was
habit.
I started this way and it was not correct, actually.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty interesting point because nowadays, every single person who gets into the crypto sphere in general, they constantly are on Twitter, following Twitter feeds, and it's a pretty interesting thing because we mentioned Twitter and social media before, and I think one of the main pressures or the things related to making people FOMO in is basically being stuck to their screens all the time and maybe following news. When you first got into crypto, was Twitter like that? Was there a crypto Twitter back in the day like this one?
For me, it was like 2012. There were only like newsletters and forums and stuff like that. But I wasn't really, into crypto. I was just following, especially on a technical point of view. In 2013, there were more events, some Twitter people, but it was like really, really niche compared to today. But I think 2017, this is where things have exploded and everyone is talking about crypto.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah.
2017 is the moment crypto Twitter was born, basically. Maybe a bit earlier, but still. And at this moment, people were more talking about price than actual technology or project. It's still very much the case, but you also have a lot of great people on Twitter to follow that are actually trying to explain things. So I would say it's just a matter of who you are following. And Twitter is not all bad. On the contrary, I use it and I use it basically only for crypto. So it's still a good source of information, but it really depends on who you're following.
Well, that's what we're trying to do also at Ledger, is to really, double down on education and try and provide people with different formats through which they can learn about the crypto industry without necessarily having this whole pressure. I'd like to thank you guys for your advice and I appreciate you coming on the first episode of our new podcast on the Ledger, live from Paris. I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did, and I'll see you guys soon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's it. Thank you for listening. We'll be coming back soon with more inspiring guests to cover the most exciting Web3 projects and innovations. Next week, we'll be discussing the NFT revolution with Benoit Pagoteau from Artifact. Share, like, and hit subscribe if that's what you're into. Brought to you by Ledger, directed and edited by Theo Wisman. This was On The Ledger, live from Paris. Till next time, take care. Au revoir. This content is provided for informational purposes only, and is the sole expression of our opinion and should not be relied upon as legal, business, investment, tax advice, or more generally any type of advice. Ledger will not be responsible for the consequences of reliance upon any opinion or statement contained in this podcast or any omission. Crypto assets are volatile. You should be fully aware of the level of risk involved before engaging in any crypto-related activities, and you should consult your own advisors as to those matters. References to any securities or digital assets are for illustrative purposes only and do not constitute an investment recommendation or offer to provide investment advisory services. Please note that any loss of data, crypto assets, or profit is your sole responsibility.